Hello, Fun Nation, and welcome back to FUNalysis, the show where we break down the best and most innovative strategies in FIRST every single week. My name is James Osterhaus, and I am an alum and former driver for Team 107 Robotics out of Holland, Michigan, and a current robotics major at the University of Michigan. Today, we'll be breaking down the defensive MVPs from across the globe in Week 1 and teach you how you can be the defensive game changer at your events Week 2 and beyond. Without further ado, let's dive into REEFSCAPE defense here on FUNalysis.
This video on Fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. Osh Cut is a premier metal cutting service for FIRST teams. No minimum order, options for same-day turnaround, guaranteed lead times, and instant online quotes. Osh Cut is offering FIRST teams 50% off any future order up to $200 when you scan the QR code or go to funroboticsnetwork.com/OSHCUT. Just upload a 3D model or flat pattern to get started. True competitors know that every second counts. That's why Kettering University challenges you to dive in right away as a first-year student. Participating in robotics programs helps Kettering students secure a valuable co-op. Whatever your interest, Kettering gives you more space to work faster and win faster. Learn more at kettering.edu/first.
Let's hop in to some of the major defensive strategies we saw in Week 1. The first team we'll be highlighting is Team 8871 Sabre Dynamics out of Hawaii. Sabre Dynamics did a style of defense I like to call bump with speed. You can kind of see them just running around all over the field, just bumping everybody they can, getting LG all over the place, causing chaos. I think this strategy is ideal for teams with fast drivetrains, maybe those higher L3 swerve gear ratios. And you're really able to cause coral loading misses. We'll see 8871. They're kind of just going all over the place, just trying to do anything they can to slow down teams in this match. And they're going between both stations. You don't want to get attached to one robot in this strategy. You're willing to fly between either station and really try to cause as many traffic jams as you can. And as we see right here, just cause as many misses from the coral station as possible. This is really key because as those misses occur and pile up, coral gets stuck in front of the coral stations. This makes it even harder and just extensively harder throughout the match for teams to pick up coral from the station. We can see right here that 8871 is actually able to push as they're coming over some coral in front of the station, which you have to be careful. You can't do that deliberately. But as they've caused more and more coral misses, it's becoming harder and harder for teams to work with it. Another team we're going to look at is Team 5232, the Talons, out in Minnesota. And their strategy was similar with this bump with speed, but they knew that they had a better robot in 111, so they focused on 111. I think something that 5232 is very good at is playing station-side defense. They are putting themselves in between the station and the robot so that 111 cannot get to the station. Even if 111 is trying to swerve around them or whatever, they're in front of that station and they're forcing 111 to go to the other station, which then allows 5232 to follow them over with the other station where there's another blue robot already and essentially cause a traffic jam where they're playing defense on themselves. This strategy of bump with speed is pretty solid, and we saw a lot of success out of 8871 as well as 5232 this weekend in Week 1. The next strategy we're going to talk about, I like to call bump with power. Boyne City Blaze, 4377 out of Michigan, did this pretty well. They clearly had a lower geared swerve drive, probably more of an L1 if we're talking SDS gear ratios, and they just really pushed all their robots at will. They were the stronger robot, and they just got in the way, maybe locked their swerve, and would not let Team 3572 wavelength pass there. And that was pretty impressive and was able to just cause 3 robots to have to work out of the same substation, and that makes it just completely impossible for the Red Alliance to actually score and able to really cause some defensive havoc. Causing those traffic jams and just pushing bots at your own will is pretty successful, and utilizing pins as well, as long as you're careful with them, and we'll talk about that more throughout this video, can be pretty effective. And the next we're going to talk about is maybe the most boring strategy we saw in defense this week. That's just sitting by the coral station. We're going to talk about Team 1250, the Gator Bots, also out of Michigan. They just completely shut down that left side coral station from the barge's perspective, but just sitting there. They're patient. They knew that, all right, nobody's there. That's okay. Nobody's coming through here either. It forces the entire alliance to work through one substation. And when you have 3 robots trying to play triple offense, that can be pretty effective. As we saw Alliance 6 here try to work past that. They originally come out to a little bit of a lead, but Alliance 1 is able just to really blow through Alliance 6 here in this finals match at Ferndale because they were just playing defense on themselves. You do need to be careful for coral landing on your robot in the strategy. You don't want to get any possession limits or anything like that, so just watch out for that. Next is we're going to talk about just sitting by the processor. This is only really effective if you're playing against a robot that really heavily uses the processor. In this match, Team 404 on the Red Alliance, I think scored like normally 9 algae in the processor, just crazy numbers. And Team Team 6326 Baltimore Bolts in the Chesapeake district here was able to cut that down to like 2, which is just really impressive. Just really able to impose their will here on 404. I think it's pretty accurate if you can just consider Xing out your swerve drive if you don't have that programmed in. It's pretty easy. You can look it up on Chief Delphi on how to do that. And this is effective if you're playing those heavy processor bots. But you should be willing to defend a coral station as well if that's unused. If those processor bots pivot to something else, you got to be dynamic. Another fun strategy we saw this week was a defense using game pieces or a defense of game pieces. You have to identify a weakness in your opponent. For example, here Team 4270 struggled to intake coral off the wall. And Team 9449, the Yellow Jackets out of Alberta, Canada, here at the Canadian Pacific Regional, identified that weakness and began to push coral off the wall, push coral towards the wall, slowing down Team 4270's ability to pick it up. The human player for 4270 was just launching coral after coral after coral. 9449 said, all right, we're not going to defend you as much. We're going to push that coral towards the wall, towards the wall, and did everything possible to delay their opponent and ended up really causing some hardships there for 4270. Now we're going to talk about what I think is the ideal strategy and how to play defense in REEFSCAPE. We're going to follow this team 27 Rush out of Michigan. Typically pretty offensive robot, but they noticed that they were going to get up against a pretty strong alliance here in 573. On the other side, currently ranked 1 at this point. And Rush notices, all right, we have a robot, 7195, literally falling over an Auton. Pretty traumatic. And then you get House of Cards, 3534, also falling in algae. Just a lot of things going wrong for the Blue Alliance here. And Rush notices this. You have a pretty strong score there in House of Cards. So they're going to go play defense. And they're going to do a combo of the bump with speed and the bump with power that we talked about earlier in this video that became really effective. So they're going to go to this substation and really, this left substation here, and really shut down that one substation. They want to push all the red robots to that right substation so that you have 2 working out at the same one. They're patiently sitting here, and then as soon as the red robot, both of them working out at one substation, they just wreak havoc and cause these ultimate traffic jams. And they're just defending themselves over and over and over again. You just have to be patient and push them to the same substation, and as soon as they're working at the same substation, they're cooked. You push them back to the other substation, and you can just be patient, and you just move them to force them to both work out of the same substation, as Team Rush did beautifully throughout this match. They used the station side defense that they're in between the wall. The red robots can't get to the coral, and pushing them both to use the same substation makes it, again, so they infinitely are defending themselves. It's beautiful. Rush executed this strategy to perfection. I think this is a really good way to play high-level defense in REEFSCAPE because you're causing them to defend themselves. All you have to do is patiently push them back and forth between the substations. Rush is able to keep this one of the lowest scoring matches that they had here at the Caterin 1 district. And if you haven't watched our Behind the Bumpers on Rush, by the way, you should go check that out. Really interesting robot. Very good scoring machine as well as defensive bot here. And we'll see this kind of style defense, I would predict, at the championships this year. And I think that your team can play it to quite success in upcoming weeks as well to impact at your district and regional competitions. Before we kind of close out this video and talk more about defense, I'd like to quick go over some of the rules that are really important when you're playing defense. First, we're going to talk about G425, and that's the 3-second pin rule. So obviously, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can pin somebody for up to 3 seconds. This is down. In the past, it's been 5 seconds. But so you can pin for up to 3 seconds. You must back off 6 feet in order to kind of like cancel out the penalty, the potential penalty that would come in, unless they make a move at you, the person that you were pinning. So I think when I was playing defense, when I was a driver, we had our operator watch the refs chop at all times. And in this case, when you get to that second chop, that's when you should start backing off and only resume pinning once the referee waves it off. So that communication there between your driver and your operator, your drive coach can also help out with this, but they should be watching with the whole alliance as well. That would allow you to really slow down some of those big, powerful robots. And especially if you have a powerful drivetrain, can be a useful strategy. G424, no tipping is also going to be important. When robots are reaching up high for the barge, you need to be careful not to tip them over. Obviously, there's protected barge zones there, so you also have to be careful with that. We'll talk about that in a second. But no tipping is pretty crucial. You will get red cards, so don't do that. And finally, we're going to talk about G427, no contact in the barge or reef zone. This will be the bane of existence for defense this season. The worst defense is when you're getting penalized. You don't want to hand those penalties to the other alliance. So play station side defense at all costs. Do not get reef or barge penalties. So that's why we talk about getting your robot in between the other robots and the coral station. Do that and you really won't have problems with penalties, and just be careful of that. With all that being said, where did you see good defense in week 1? How could your team improve these strategies that we analyzed today? I firmly believe that defense will once again make or break a championship run this season and can impact every single regional and district event throughout the entire REEFSCAPE season. So, what is your team doing to prepare for defensive play? Are you guys going to be playing defense at your next event, or how are you preparing to score around it? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this episode of FUNalysis. And until next time, James Osterhaus, signing off.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. True competitors know that every second counts. That's why Kettering University challenges you to dive in right away as a first-year student. Participating in robotics programs helps Kettering students secure a valuable co-op. Whatever your interests, Kettering gives you more space to work faster and win faster. Learn more at kettering.edu/first. Osh Cut is a premier metal cutting service for first teams. No minimum order, options for same-day turnaround, guaranteed lead times, and instant online quotes. Osh Cut is offering first teams 50% off any future order up to $200 when you scan the QR code or go to funroboticsnetwork.com/OSHCUT. Just upload a 3D model or flat pattern to get started.